Greetings, Internet. Thinker2112 here at 11:24 Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, the 14th of January, 2012. So I figured that since I'm going to be watching football most of the weekend and won't have a whole lot of time to make videos, I'll just use today to report on what I did last weekend, aka MAGFest. I got the t-shirt, as you can say. I like how they did the games and music, although that's the wrong order. Yeah, that is what it stands for, Music and Gaming Festival. So it was at a very nice hotel called the Gaylord Hotel and Convention Center, which is at this place called National Harbor. I wouldn't exactly call it a town. It's more like just a fancy, very fancy tourist attraction with lots of expensive stores and restaurants, and yeah, high class place for people that have a lot more money than I do. Fortunately, we got the rooms at reduced rates. So when I first got into my room, I saw some stuff in there already. I called my friend, who was going to be my only roommate there, and he said he hadn't gotten there, which led me to deduce that only one thing could be possible. There were other random people in the room. My friend, fortunately, encouraged me to take it up with the front desk. By encouraged, I mean yelled at me. Um, and we cleared it up. It turned out that it was a mistake. I don't know, maybe they made the mistake because I had checked in early or something. I checked in early because I wanted to, because I'd come from a job interview in downtown DC. National Harbor is like south of DC. Yeah, so speaking of the interview, I was wearing a suit, and I realized I'd forgot to bring pants other than my suit pants. I had gym shorts with me. That was the only other thing I had with me, and I was planning to use the gym shorts for their, intended purpose of wearing them while I worked out, which I did eventually, but, then the problem was that I needed to have pants. Fortunately, there was a store nearby that was having a big sale because it was, a couple weeks after Christmas. So I got them at not too bad a price, and then I had pants to wear. Um, I, after I paid for them, I just imagined myself holding them over my head like that with a doo-doo-doo-doo. Anyway, that joke has been made before. So, yeah, it was just generally really awesome. I saw some of my friends from college there. I didn't know they were going to be there. And apparently I missed them, at least a couple of them, at Otakon this past summer. So, yeah, we're going to coordinate in the future. At least I hope we are. I also saw... Who did I see there? I saw Brental Floss. He was at a couple of panels that I attended. What else? I did not know until like a couple hours before I left that Chugger or NCS would be there, so I didn't have my eyes out for them. It's too bad. Maybe I should follow them on Facebook or Twitter or something. I'm not even on Twitter. Yeah, I just feel like with those sites, it's like, do I really need another thing that I have to check every day? That's basically why I'm not on a lot of those websites. Anyway, what else? Oh yes, I was at a panel on voice acting on Saturday afternoon, and I raised my hand to ask a question, and the guy who called on me was so I was wearing my red Capitals t-shirt, and the guy who called on me, when he called on me, he said, yes, the gentleman in the green wristband and the Washington Capitals t-shirt. And he said it in like the exact same voice as the Capitals PA announcer, like at the games. And, a lot of people laughed. I'm guessing the people who had been to Caps games, since we were near Washington, there were probably a few of them. And I just thought to myself, okay, this is either someone who is a very good imitator and is familiar with that guy, or he actually is that guy. And from the things he said at various times in the panel, I deduced, okay, he actually is that guy. So the Capitol's PA announcer, who had also done voice acting on various video games, was there. I don't remember his name, unfortunately. I do remember the names of two other people there. One of the people there was John St. John, the voice of the Duke in Duke Nukem. And one of the others was Ellen McLean. Yes, GLaDOS was there. Nobody prompted her to do a GLaDOS voice, unfortunately. I think we all didn't want to bother her or whatever. But it was very amusing that she was there. By the way, in case you're wondering, the question I asked was, and I asked this to the whole panel, which was I think 8 people. The question I asked was, if you are doing a project where you're doing the voice for more than one character, how do you differentiate? How do you make sure that they sound different? And of course, if you've been watching my videos, you might be able to guess why I asked that question. The reason why I asked that question is because I am asking that of all of the cast for my FF8 videos to portray more than one character. Yeah, so his answer was, well, part of the answer was that they don't usually record lines for multiple characters. They'll record all the lines for one character, and then they'll record all the lines for another character. That's not happening the way I'm recording FF8 voice acting. But what he did say that I want to be able to use is, he just said, he and some of the other people said, vary your pitch, vary your tempo, vary inflection, regional dialects, things like that. Which is, I guess, what we've been trying to do, but I guess I could remind cast members of that. Anyway, after the voice acting panel, what else did I do? There was, oh yeah, then there was the Brentalfloss Q&A. That was quite amusing. We got him to do his Homestar voice. He was like, well, I don't usually do my Homestar voice, but I was kind of hungover, you know. Someone spiked the melonade. Of course, he did a lot better than that. It was quite funny. And of course, I played lots of video games. Actually, I played some video games and I just watched some video games because, yes, there were a lot of machines, but most of them were taken up most of the time. I did play Super Mario Kart, the original game of the series. And I met a vlogger from Louisiana. I will put a link to her channel page in the video description, Angie462. She has something in common with H.C. Bailey, namely that her cat interrupts her videos. Anyway. Why do I keep saying anyway? It's not like I'm going on digressions. Well, that was a digression. Alright. So yeah, then the main event, if you will, of MAGFest 10 was the concert by the Earthbound Papas, which is Nobuo Uematsu's band. Honestly, I wasn't that impressed. I mean, you're going to say, Thinker, what are you talking about? This is Nobuo Uematsu. Yeah, it was, but frankly, they didn't really play that much that I knew. They played a lot of stuff from a lot of original stuff from their album, and I mean, it was cool, but let's face it, this is MAGFest. It's not really what a lot of the listeners are going to want to hear. They want to hear Final Fantasy stuff. They did play a few Final Fantasy things, and I did appreciate that. But yeah, I was disappointed. It's not that they weren't good, it's that they weren't as good as I was expecting them to be. After the concert, I played the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. And I was very glad that it was on free play, because, yeah, in the later levels, it's like, okay, we don't care about making anything resembling a good game anymore. We're just going to suck as many quarters away from you as we can. by having like stupid random things that there's no way the player can predict that do a whole lot of damage to you. And oh yeah, the final boss has an instant death attack, of course. Why not? Like I said, glad it was on free play. Sunday, unfortunately, I mean, I wish I could have stayed a bit longer, but I didn't want to get back too late. And I did want to catch the last football game of the weekend, which wound up being a very good game, especially at the end. It's always nice when the Steelers lose. Yeah, but I did get to I did go to a panel called "Video Game Movies Shouldn't Suck." Um, I was hoping the panel would be about how it could be that video game movies would not suck. But that's not really what they talked about for most of the time. Most of that time they talked about how video game movies so far have sucked. They went through several of the movies and why they sucked, such as Super Mario Brothers, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. The original Mortal Kombat movie they said was a step in the right direction, but then this was the theme, like they'll take a step in the right direction and then they'll go back. Yeah, they went through several of these and why they sucked in detail. But they did have a couple of good points. There were 4 guys on this panel. Brentalfloss was one of them. I didn't recognize any of the other 3. Basically, their conclusion was that you need to give the project to someone who actually knows what they're doing and actually cares about it. This is their summary. Either one of them said either give Super Mario Brothers to Pixar or give The Legend of Zelda to Joss Whedon. That got a lot of applause. I could see the Super Mario Brothers Pixar thing more than I could see the Legend of Zelda Joss Whedon thing, but maybe that would work too. I guess this is sort of the Lord of the Rings principle. A lot of people I have heard have said, or at least a few people have said, that the reason why the Lord of the Rings movies worked so well is because they got a fanboy as director. And he really cared. He knew what he was doing. And I gotta say, I agree with that viewpoint. If someone doesn't care about the movie, or about the video game, they're not going to care about making the movie look anything like the video game. So, yeah, MAGFest, the main complaint I have is that it's too short. I could easily have been there for another day or 2. The hotel was very nice, although things were very expensive there, other than the room. And this video has gotten way longer than I usually make my vlogs. But what can I say? I did have a lot to report about MAGFest. I'm really sorry I didn't know that Chugga and NCS would be there. If I had known, I would have kept my eye out for them. Then again, it was a pretty big convention. Maybe I wouldn't have seen them anyway. But yeah, before I go to these things, I should check, see what internet celebrities are going to be there. Alright, Thinker2112, over and out. Bye.